To summarize, you were asking, how do I recommend sounding more enthusiastic in your vocal recordings or vocal performances? First thing I want to say, I love your voice. It reminds me of a 1970s, 1980s nature documentary, David Attenborough style. Very calm, very collected, not overly excited, just enjoyable to listen to and easy to listen to. But if you do want more energy in your recordings, if you want more enthusiasm in your recordings, I have a couple of probably pretty bad suggestions because I am not a voice actor. But when it comes down to it, if you are speaking in a voice that is not how you normally speak, you are, in a sense, acting. You are putting on a performance. So this is going to fall into the acting. I am an actor. It's going to fall into that category, I think. First thing I would recommend is projecting your voice a bit more. It is a lot easier to sound enthusiastic or energetic if you are speaking in a louder volume. I don't mean like screaming like me back in 2015. But if I'm whispering, I'm going to sound a bit less enthusiastic. I'm going to sound a bit drier, a bit boring, a bit unenergetic, for lack of a better word. Or if I want to, I might just start vocal frying into the microphone like it's the NPR. NPR, man. NPR, project your voice a little bit. Support your voice with your diaphragm. Which would you rather listen to? Hi, guys. This is NPR. Today, we have a story to tell. Or, hey, welcome to NPR. Today, we have a story to tell. Here is the story that we are telling. Support your voice. Support your voice. You are an actor, NPR. So that's the first tip. Project your voice. Do not damage your voice. Do not become too tense, which is something I do struggle with. I do end up getting a bit too tense. Not as tense as I used to be. 2016, 2017. It was, hey guys, how's it going? My voice is so tight. That's how I used to sound. But it's about finding a happy middle ground between, hey, NPR. I'm under the microphone about the news. And hey, it's a podcast-ish. It's finding a happy middle ground between this. I think I've hammered home the point a bit too much. Second, try to intentionally fluctuate the pitch in your voice. And I know this is kind of crappy advice because you're saying, how do I stop sounding so monotone? And my advice is, use multiple tones instead of one. I know that's bad advice, but if you intentionally try to fluctuate, the pitch in your voice makes you sound a little bit more enthusiastic. Obviously, do it more natural than that because that sounded like a crappy Christopher Walken, where I just tried to get the inflection of his voice as opposed to the actual character. But if you are just I even fluctuated pitch there. If you are just talking in a single pitch, it is going to sound very dull, very monotone, very boring. But if you go ahead and intentionally try to fluctuate the pitch of your voice, that's going to make it sound more interesting. It's going to make you sound more enthusiastic and energetic and passionate about what you're talking about. It's about getting that variation to draw interest into what you're saying. But also, it seems more natural. You will hear people who will end sentences. It's called upspeak. So today we're going to talk about, a lot of people do that because they think it leaves the sentence open. And that's intentional, I think. Maybe it's subconscious, but I think people do that because it leaves the sentence open and it leaves the listener wanting to know what's going to be said next. I dislike upspeak, though. Today we're going to talk about, that's a really bad, a really exaggerated example, but listen for it. It will drive you crazy. Just like, hey, this is NPR. Maybe vocal fry with upspeak. Hey, this is NPR. Today we're going to talk about... I'm an idiot. Third, sorry. I think I'm funny. That's all that matters. I don't care if you think I'm the dumbest person in the world, the most unfunny person. I am having a blast. Going back to my advice, have fun with what you're doing or be passionate about it. Third suggestion Smile while you're recording. This will make you look like a psychopath. If anybody walks in while you're just speaking whatever is on a page while you're smiling, you're gonna look like a crazy person. People will think you have finally snapped and that they should leave the room immediately, very quietly, back away without taking their eyes off of you. But a smile is audible. It is very audible. Let me go ahead and put on a frown and say, today I went ahead and went for a walk. It was a lot of fun. Or I'll smile. Today I went for a walk and it was a lot of fun. It's not the most noticeable thing, but it does add a bit of brightness to the recording, to what you're saying, to the performance, if you actor. Why do I keep doing that? It adds a bit of brightness to what you're saying. So that's another way. You are, in fact, acting. So act. I am enthusiastic about this thing, so act enthusiastic about it. You may not be enthusiastic about whatever story you're reading, but if the role that you're reading requires enthusiasm, act. They're not called well, I guess they are called voiceover artists. I was about to say they're not called voiceover artists, they're called voice actors. So act, bro. But they are called voiceover artists too. Don't listen to me, I'm stupid. The final thing, the fourth piece of advice. Also get advice from somebody who's actually a voice actor or voiceover artist like Mike Delgadio. The last thing I would recommend is try standing and moving around a bit. Maybe not moving around, but standing up and having the ability, the freedom to move around a little bit more makes you feel a little bit looser. If you've watched The Big Bang Theory as much as I have, you will know that when Sheldon needs to learn how to act, what does he do? He goes and talks to Penny, who's an actress. She says, go ahead, move around in your space. Feel comfortable in your body. And she just moves around all silly, all willy-nilly, like I'm doing right now. I don't know how I'm looking. I did not look at the camera. I bet that was the dumbest looking thing I have ever done on this channel. But having that freedom to move around will give you a little bit more freedom, looseness in your voice. A little more lively, a little more fluid. All right, that's my advice, David. Thank you very much for the voice submission.